Lesson 4. As the world economy evolves, an entrepreneur needs to think forward when planning a business. It's essential to establish a strong understanding of business management, put effective hiring practices in place, and find or develop talent that will keep your business going. We'll be focusing on the art of business management, with a focus on some key steps in particular. The hiring process, creating SMART goals, understanding corporate social responsibility, benefits and drawbacks of technology in the organization, and delegating steps. First, let's discuss the hiring process. This process describes the techniques used to find new employees for a company. Investing in an effective hiring process can cost time and money, but doing so will provide high-quality employees that'll stick around. Creating a clear job description. Make sure you clearly define the role you are hiring for to set up any new employees for success. A vague job description or withholding tasks you expect out of an employee may attract talent that's not a right fit for your business. Make sure you know the standards you'll be using to measure candidates and ensure the job description accurately conveys the tasks and requirements of the position. Characteristics of desirable candidates. If you're creating a job description from scratch, you have the opportunity to design your vision of the ideal candidate. Think about your ideal employee and what traits they need to have. While no employee is going to be perfect and meet every single idea you may have, a list of traits can help you attract the best person for the job. Examples of traits and qualities you may look for include a strong work ethic and attitude towards working hard. Optimism. Even in hard times, the employee keeps positive. Experience levels. You'll want an employee who has the right education or past work. Ability to collaborate and work well with others. If your business requires a team, this is essential. These traits describe the ideal members of the workforce, but the question remains, how do you find them? Finding the right person for the job is an essential skill for a leader or entrepreneur. Employees are the heart of every business, whether a software engineer or executive's administrative assistant. On the flip side, making bad hires can be an extraordinarily miserable experience, one that costs you far more in the long term. A bad hire can mean a loss in productivity. Terminating the employee, dealing with the aftermath, and starting the hiring process all over again is costly. Online advertising and hiring makes it easier than ever before. Today, you can find a wide range of potential hires at your fingertips by posting a Help Wanted ad on many online bulletins. However, the sheer deluge of information and interested prospects can also be a bit overwhelming. Consider a few means of finding great talent. Traditional recruiting channels. You might consider going through pathways such as interviewing internal candidates or someone who applies for a position at a company at which they already work. Soliciting personal referrals or recommendations from people you trust. Working with temp agencies to source options for candidates. Temp agencies are a third party that connects interested employees with your business for a quick job that could evolve into full-time. Placing Help Wanted ads in popular publications and websites, which brings us to the second primary way of finding and building the members of your team. Leveraging the power of the Internet. You have a wide variety of options and tools at your fingertips, including websites and blogs geared at your industry to run recruiting ads, email campaigns, which can collect a large number of email addresses of potential candidates, using social networking sites like Facebook and Twitter to solicit interest from candidates. Becoming a great interviewer. Once you have a great candidate in your sights, it's time to master the art of becoming a charismatic interviewer. When you spend hours looking at every resume and performing background checks, you may feel drained. But interviewing well is essential. The secret to be a great interviewer is simple. Spend lots of time preparing and over-preparing so that you can maximize the time you have with a given candidate. Chances are, the employee is spending their own time preparing for a good first impression, so why don't you? Take the time in advance to learn about their background and abilities, so you can focus the interviews on more strategic questions that challenge them to think through specific real-world scenarios. What would they do if they had to make a last-minute decision? How would they handle drama in the workplace? Evaluating your candidates. Some candidates talk a great game, but can they deliver for you each day? Chances are, you know someone who can talk the talk, but can't walk the walk. Is the candidate like this? You can get a better handle on how they think and check their credentials with a few steps. Check their references. Non-family references may give their honest opinion. Conduct 360 interviews in which multiple team members meet with a candidate. Rank them compared to other applicants. Hiring the best candidates. To hire the best candidates, you need to move fast rather than leaving them in endless limbo. Be sure to contact them ASAP, as there may be other companies that are interested. Be prepared to negotiate. Top talent demand top compensation, as well as amenities and benefits that allow them to optimize how their work benefits the other aspects of their lives. They deserve it, too. However, you need to be prepared to come to a deal that will satisfy both parties. If you cut them a raw deal, they may turn away your offer and someone else will hire. Alternatively, they may accept, but put minimal effort in their work. Maintain an open mind and focus on what a great hire can add to your team for years to come if cultivated and developed properly. You can evaluate and kick the tires all you want, but there are times where you'll never know objectively which candidate is best for the job. In the end, you may need to be able to trust your gut and intuition that you've developed from a long experience in your field. Creating SMART goals. Think back to the old Peter Drucker maxim that what gets measured gets done. This piece of wisdom speaks to the importance of setting SMART goals. These goals help provide direction, perspective on how far you have come, evidence of how attainable your vision is, and clarification on everyone's role and what they should be striving for. Identifying SMART goals. SMART is an acronym for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. In other words, having goals that are attainable, specific, and have a set deadline are much more likely to be accomplished than broad, vague goals. It's one thing to set a goal to run a marathon. It's another to set a specific objective of running 70 miles a week. Suddenly, you know what milestones you need to be hitting along the course of the week. This isn't to say that having a long-term, broad goal is bad. In fact, SMART goals can help make your broad goals a reality. The same goes for business. By setting specific, revenue-related and performance-based goals, there is nowhere to hide from yourself if you are off track. It's easier to hold yourself accountable if your goal of making $100,000 by the end of the year isn't accomplished. On the other hand, saying you want to make millions someday is not a goal you can hold yourself accountable to. These goals help ensure that anyone and everyone in your organization can easily understand and act on the goals that you have agreed on in partnership with your employees. By definition, the simpler your goal, the better. If everyone can clearly understand the objective, they are far more likely to work to achieve it. Pick just a few goals, 2 or 3, and focus on them relentlessly. The more your employees hear your goals, the more they will retain them. Think of how Steve Jobs helped reimagine Apple when he returned as CEO in the 1990s by trimming back an unwieldy product portfolio and rallying the team around just a few flagship products. This focus and simplicity helped to ensure Apple's rebound and success. Communicating your vision and goals to your team. It's not enough for you to understand the goal. Your team needs to understand it as well. Make sure you take some key steps to make the objective widely understood. Announce your vision with an event, like an all-hands or internal rally. In other words, hold a meeting that all the employees need to attend. Clearly communicate the goals and priorities to help ensure that the team knows where to focus their efforts. As the old saying goes, if everything is a priority, nothing is a priority. Gain the commitment of your top reports and employees to work toward the successful accomplishment of these goals, and their long-term commitment to turning them into reality. Many strategic goals today increasingly tie back to social impact and corporate responsibility. Let's discuss what this means. Understanding corporate social responsibility. Leaders are increasingly expected to take a stand on the big issues of the day and to do their part to be good environmental stewards. Companies cannot be apolitical on all issues nowadays. Socially responsible practices are no longer a nice-to-have, but expected by investors, stakeholders, and especially prospective employees. If you don't get the word out about your corporate social responsibility programs, you'll miss out on the benefits. So tell the story often to your employees and stakeholders. This doesn't mean that you tell everyone who you voted for, but it does mean that your company should have ethics. Stress your commitment to going green, having diversity in the workplace, and committing to other positive issues. Doing the right thing, ethics and you. Don't be in the next wave of leaders we've seen taken down by some ethical lapse. Ethics must be a top leadership priority. Define ethics on the job. Make sure your team clearly understands the ethical boundaries they shouldn't cross and the penalties they can face if they do. For example, you may have a zero-tolerance policy on sexual harassment. Remove ambiguity and uncertainty by publishing a formal code of ethics for employees to abide by. Make the rules clear and avoid ambiguity. For example, don't just say your company doesn't tolerate toxic behavior. Give some examples of what behavior you define as toxic. Make ethical choices every day. Be an example and role model. Walk the walk and go above and beyond in removing any shadow of a doubt about your integrity. In an age where people are being held accountable, don't think that your hypocrisy will go unnoticed. Benefits and drawbacks of technology in the organization. The definition of technology can be a little vague. Technically, everything in the modern world is technology. That bulldozer used to build your business is tech. Those landline phones are technology. In this context, we're referring to tech that has risen in popularity in the past few years. Customer service bots, cloud-based collaboration, Zoom calls. Technology can be a double-edged sword today. Virtually every company needs to adopt robust understanding of technology in order to compete in a digital-first environment. Even a pizza company like Domino's has said it considers itself a digital company first and foremost. For example, when you order a pizza through the app, it will tell you exactly when the pizza will be ready and deliver notifications during the whole process. But don't let the technology distract you from your core offerings. It should be used to enhance your products, but not at the risk of losing focus. Here's where the catch-22 comes in. Investing in up-and-coming technology can put you ahead of the game. Many businesses have failed because they didn't adopt emerging tech. However, not all new tech is good. Don't invest in a piece of tech just because it's the next big thing, but invest because it will benefit the organization. Improving efficiency and productivity. Don't let online distractions like social media distract you from your mission. Instead, focus on how technology can vastly strengthen your efficiency and productivity. The goal of tech should be to automate processes that would take more time and manpower when done by human hands. Consider how new ways of doing business, like online collaboration, communication, and curation tools, can speed up how your team works together. However, tech can be time-consuming as well. You may spend hours looking at emails or have a tech team perfecting a bot. Be sure to reclaim your time. Consider email-free Fridays and institute clear norms that tell when you expect replies to messages. Too many talented professionals find themselves managing an overwhelming deluge of emails and texts rather than focusing on the core skills you hired them to focus on. Using technology to your advantage. Rather than trying to turn back the clock or resist change, consider how you can use technology to your benefit. Tech is your friend, after all. You can automate routine or predictable duties, automate personal management functions, and free up the time of your people for more creative and strategic work. Getting the most out of company networks. Consider how organizational networks can allow your team members to communicate quickly and easily. Delegating steps. There's a lot to stay on top of in the workplace. It's too much to handle everything yourself. Often, you spend too much time answering calls instead of working to improve your business. That's where delegating comes in. Delegating, the manager's best tool. Your business shouldn't require your constant presence and attention 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, if it's going to be sustainable. Successful businesses have leaders who can detach themselves from their business, and the business still thrives. If you focus on hiring great talent, as we discussed earlier, it's far easier to effectively delegate. Adopt the 6 key steps needed to delegate. These will set up your reports and team members to succeed. Communicate the task. Be sure that your communication is as effective as possible. Furnish context for the task. Explain the task in as much detail. Determine standards. Be sure your employees are putting as much effort in the task as possible. Grant authority. Assign certain tasks to certain people on your team. Provide support. Have staff who isn't afraid to ask questions and require assistance if needed. Get commitment. Have employees who will want to stick to their jobs. Leaders will develop an effective ability to distinguish between what can be delegated and what can't. The difference will often involve ambiguous, strategic, and creative work. Routine processes and disputes should easily be able to be delegated to others in your organization, freeing up your time and bandwidth for the tougher decisions. Many people dream of running an entire business themselves, but then realize that they need to be 10 different people for that to be feasible. To test your memory, here are a few questions recapping this lesson. Question: what does SMART stand for? Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. What are the 6 key steps to effective delegation? Communicate the task, furnish context for the task, determine standards, grant authority, provide support, and get commitment.